Rabbi Manis Friedman. Thank God it's Tuesday. So glad to have you on the air. It's amazing. This is our absolutely last show before Rosh Hashanah, before we enter into the year 5782. And before we do that, I would like to play a little snippet from the last year's show, the last show we had right before Rosh Hashanah, 5781. And this is what you said, which I think kind of got me through the whole year. Short, but very, very sweet.
So this coming year is going to be a year of the most unexpected miracles.
Yeah, that statement alone made a huge difference in my life. Now, the question is, did we see those open miracles? We had a lot of surprises. Can we consider them to be miracles? Or can we tell miracles from surprises these days? That's the question.
Well, the unexpected certainly came true. That part was correct. Yeah, there were some painful, unexpected miracles. But if we have a little bit of insight, just a little bit of the ability to see past the surface, not terribly deep, not terribly hidden, not subconscious, just a little below the surface of the headlines, you can see that the world is rebooting. It's recalculating. It's resetting itself from the very bottom up. The most fundamental things that we've taken for granted for thousands of years, literally. All of a sudden, we don't know why. We need an explanation. What's going on? What does it really mean? What's real? What's true? What's good? The most fundamental questions. Now, the ability to question such fundamental, long accepted beliefs and dependencies and trusts, that's pretty miraculous. Because you would expect that if everything was taken away, everything I ever trusted, everything I ever believed, my religion, my faith, my everything, you would think people would become completely insane. When the rug is pulled out from under you so dramatically and so totally, you would think people would literally have nervous breakdown. You don't see that very much. You don't hear about it very much. Yeah, there are people who are very upset, very angry, very frustrated, with good reason. But more than that, you're seeing people who are simply getting wiser. Okay, so none of that was real. None of that was true. So what is? The ability to do that, it's pretty impressive. In the 30s, when they had the stock market crash, people were jumping out of windows. Because if they couldn't rely on the monetary system, if your investments couldn't do what they're supposed to do, there was nothing left to live for.
Sad.
Today, the crisis is much worse than just financial. People aren't jumping out of windows. Actually, people were jumping out of windows before the corona. For some strange reason. So, what exactly are we seeing? Not a conspiracy theory, not a religious belief or hope. What are we seeing? We're seeing a world in the process of maturing. It's like coming of age. The human race is finally coming of age. Enough with the childishness, enough with the superficial. We're ready for life. Real life. Life with meaning, life with purpose. Life that elevates, not drags down. Yeah, the real thing. So let's say goodbye to the awkward adolescence that we went through for the last 2 years, 3 years. It was a difficult transition, a difficult growing process. Now the coming year is the other side of coming of age. The settling down, the maturity, the wisdom, and the responsibility. We're grown up now. We can act like grown-ups. That's not bad.
It's wonderful. But apparently, Rabbi Friedman, you see a lot more than the rest of us. Because summertime, you look around, I don't know if I can come to the same conclusions that we have grown up. I mean, some of us have, but a lot of us are still stuck in the past.
I know there is this herd immunity, whatever that means. I don't like being compared to horses or cattle, but yeah, there's a tipping point. How many people need to become more mature to be able to say correctly that the world has become more mature? I'm not sure what the number is, or the good maturity, but it's certainly happening. And once it starts to happen, then it's downhill smooth sailing. And it just picks up speed and picks up more people and brings people along with it. It's literally an avalanche of maturity and of wisdom. And that's really, if you think about it, all the hope and all the belief and all the longing for Mashiach to come. What ultimately is Mashiach? A bunch of miracles? Otherworldly stuff going on? Aliens landing in New York City? No alien in his right mind would land in New York City. There's no parking. So what exactly is Mashiach? Mashiach means a teacher who shares true wisdom. No miraculous hoaxes, gimmicks, shtick. Just the mature, thoughtful, and earned the hard way maturity. That's it. That's all we're lacking. If we were real mention, if we would simply get our act together, the world could be absolutely perfect. There are people worrying about the environment. If we would just get our act together, we could fix the environment. We can make it pure, clean, and healthy. No problem. We just need to become mature about it. Politics, international relationships, it's all so doable. Just stop being petty and stop being childish. That's all. No, it's easier said than done. But that's why we need Mashiach, to make it actually happen successfully. But we've started the process. We've started the process, that's for sure. And that's really good news, because it's been a couple of thousand years since that happened.
Rabbi Friedman, what signs should we be paying attention to know that the process has started? I mean, we feel it, but are there actually signs?
Well, let's talk about what's excluded or rejected from our lives. We have no tolerance for war. We have no tolerance for crime. We have no tolerance for corruption. We just can't take it anymore. We've always been against it, but it was kind of like a game, the good guys against the bad guys, and you win a few and you lose a few, and they have a shootout at the OK Corral, and sometimes the sheriff wins, and sometimes and someplace deep down inside, we actually enjoyed the fight. But not anymore. We just don't have the tolerance for it anymore because we can't find justification for it. It's pointless. Enough already. That's kind of the bittersweet side of the maturity. The disappointment in what has been, and the recognition that it's got to get better. It's got to be better than this. I mean, for this you wake up every morning and go to work and try so hard? No, it's got to be better than this. That's the bittersweet. The pure sweet side is people are thinking more about what's true and real and important in their lives, the people in their lives. People are thinking about God more than ever in a very healthy, non-religious way. Just the reality.
That I've noticed a lot of. Yes, that's very good news.
I think we can say in the 60s, there was a phenomenon, a really outrageous development, where people who were totally secular, whatever that means, but they were totally secular, all of a sudden they were becoming religious. People running off to become Buddhists, people becoming Muslims all over the world, Jews becoming Orthodox, and we called it the Baal Chuva movement. Now, a Baal Chuva is a person who, in very simple language, repents, regrets their sins and their misbehavior, and they dedicate themselves to a life of observance, a life of religious commitment, and they become a Baal Chuva, a newly religious or newly Orthodox or newly frum. And it was exciting. Like every family had at least one Baal Chuva, just to disrupt everything and make things interesting. Very much like 2 generations ago, every family was Orthodox, but in every family there was at least one who dropped out. Well, in the 60s, that turned around. All families were secular, but every family had at least one Baal Chuva who became a fanatically religious person.
Where did it get us?
It was a vast improvement from a totally secular, meaningless life, but it's not correct to describe people today as Baalei Tshuva. And this is really significant to today, literally. Mm-hmm. A person decides, a Jew decides, I need to be more actively Jewish. I need to keep commandments. I need to observe holidays. I need to light Shabbos candles. I need to show up in a synagogue once in a while. I need to get involved. Does that make me a Baal Tshuva? Not today. See, the problem with being a Baal Tshuva is that here you have a person who was part of mainstream life, all of a sudden decides that they have to do something special. They can't just be mainstream. They have to rise above. They have to increase their commitment, their spirituality, whatever it is. So they leave the mainstream and they join a unique and select club of people who are newly religious. They become Baal Chuva. The few, the proud, the Baal Chuva. It's not good enough. That's not how Mashiach comes. Coming of Mashiach means that God becomes mainstream. Not you leave mainstream in order to find God. That was wonderful in the 60s. We've come a long way since then. Today, what happens is not that certain sensitive, inspired individuals leave the mainstream secular world and go off into a rare, specialized kind of lifestyle, and they become different, special, higher, better. But that's not the right direction. That's like people getting to heaven. Our purpose is to bring God down to earth, which means to make God and godliness mainstream. So today, people wake up and they say, you know, maybe I should make my kitchen kosher. Maybe Shabbat should be a little different than the rest of the week. Or whatever mitzvah is suddenly appealing and compelling to. So what happened? The person became special. There was something stirred in the soul of the individual. Not really. Something in the universe changed. Things that we didn't see before are now visible. Understanding that eluded us for thousands of years is suddenly clear and obvious. We're simply reacting to a change in the atmosphere, the godly atmosphere. So it's not going off and becoming special. Mainstream life is waking up to an awareness, to a reality. So if you start to do a mitzvah today, don't call yourself a Baal Chuva. Don't go off into a special community, into a special lifestyle, and leave behind the asphalt jungles and the mean streets of the mainstream. It's got to be mainstream. Godliness has to become mainstream. The obvious, the everyday, simple reality. That is absolutely Mashiachic. It has never happened before. There were times in history when Jews who were not religious became religious. It happened on Purim. It happened on Hanukkah. It happened as the result of an influence from the Rambam. There was a rediscovery of one's religious duties. That was not Mashiachic. That was the greatness of the Jewish soul. Incorrigible. No matter what you put Jews through, they always come back to their religious roots. Okay, that's the nature of a godly soul. That's not Mashiach. Mashiach is when the streets become godlier, when everyday life just becomes godlier because that's what everyday life was always meant to be. So today, people don't run off and change their lives and change their clothes and sit in a yeshiva and become completely alienated from the rest of their family, which was exciting back in the 60s. A lot of drama, a lot of intense feelings back, positive and negative. Not today. People are not supposed to run off and become something special. You're supposed to be the mainstream, and the mainstream is supposed to be godly. Mainstream means it's for everybody. Not for the rare, inspired soul.
Rabbi Friedman, wow, that's all I can say. I mean, that's a absolutely incredible perception of bringing heaven down to earth. And it's definitely, wow, you just made the whole thing mainstream. That's amazing. Thank you so much. And if we look at it this way, then yeah, that is an open miracle because it has never happened until really this year. And thank you for opening our eyes. That's amazing. Rabbi Friedman, however, can we get a little bit of an insight of what the next year might bring us? I mean, I know you use logic and Jewish wisdom and a lot of the Rabbi's teachings, so you're definitely way ahead than the rest of us. What can you tell us about what the next year 5782 can bring us? What can we look forward to?
Being way ahead is not good news. It means that it's not yet mainstream. So what we can look forward to is people will be observing Shabbos much more than before. People who never did will begin to observe Shabbat. People who didn't put on tefillin will commit to daily putting on of tefillin. In other words, in a very practical, non-dramatic, and innocent, unassuming, not self-conscious, natural progression, grassroots, mitzvahs will start popping up. And it won't make the person who's doing it different or special or extraordinary. It'll just feel like, that's what you're supposed to do. Completely normal, completely natural. It won't disrupt anybody's life. It'll fill life, not change it. Because life, with very few exceptions, life has become empty. It's empty. We go through our daily routines like robots, thinking we're great, we're greatly successful and we're wonderful and we're accomplishing great things. And it's just a daily routine which the past 2 years woke us up to. You run, you shop, you go, you hop on a plane, you visit, you come back. What are you doing? This is life? Or this is just escape from life? Stay busy, you'll be okay. Don't stop to think, you'll get depressed. This is not real. So, what we can expect in this coming year is simply a natural and almost unnoticed shift. People will just be doing things that are divinely meaningful, and that will fill their lives so that they don't need entertainment, and they don't need escapism, and they don't need anti-anxiety pills, and they don't need anti-depression pills, and they don't need to artificially prop themselves up to stay alive. That's very sad. And yet that's the kind of life we were living. Blissfully unaware or intentionally denying the emptiness of it all. And the nastiness of it, by the way. When life is empty, it becomes nasty. When you're not having pleasure in life, you get miserable and you make other people miserable. So there's no option. There's no alternative. Either life is real and life is meaningful and life has a purpose and therefore it is pleasurable and satisfying, or you're a miserable person making everybody around you miserable, but sounding very legitimate. I'm upset with this and I'm upset with that, and why can't the world be right, and why can't we all get along, and what's wrong with the government, and what's wrong with the president, and what's wrong with the system. You'll go on complaining like this for years. Not this year. Done. How many people? I don't know. But a significant number of people are going to simply get their act together, not by becoming special, by becoming real. You don't need to run away. You don't need to change your community. You don't need to change your diet. You just need to fill your life with what is meaningful and fulfilling. It's such a, I think it is such a promising and optimistic path that we've gotten onto. If we just do it, go with it, trust it, we can have a really magnificent world overnight, practically. Overnight. We just have to make goodness real. I mean, it is real. We have to realize and recognize the reality, the truth of it. It's not special to be good. It's not special to be godly. It's life itself. Somebody said, wouldn't it be amazing, among all the surprises that we've had in these last 3 years, wouldn't it be amazing if Taliban, who took over Afghanistan, becomes a moral, decent, God-fearing society? How's that for a surprise?
Miraculous.
Yeah, pretty much miraculous. But on the other hand, what else would they want? What are they thinking? We'll come in here, we'll destroy everybody, kill everybody. Is that what they're thinking? I would have believed that a year ago. Yeah, Taliban, they're corrupt, they're rotten, they're terrorists, they're out to kill. But then you stop and think for a minute. They're out to kill? Really? You think that there are thousands of people who simply can't think past their guns? Look, it is possible, of course. But for how long? How long? So they've been shooting everybody in sight for years. So what do they want to do? Really kill everybody? What? So would it be terribly surprising if they all woke up in the morning and said, my trigger finger is getting tired. All I've been doing is pulling the trigger again and again and again. Where has it gotten me? Where am I going? What do I want? It's my religion to kill people? How long can anybody go on believing that? Really? realistically. So yes, it would be an amazing surprise. And you could call it miraculous, but only because you didn't expect it. It wouldn't be miraculous. In fact, it's inevitable. I can understand 10, 15, 20 murderous individuals who can't stop killing. They don't see any other purpose in life. What? Okay, 100 of them, but thousands?
Rabbi Friedman, I do have to ask, what about the government? The government that is insane everywhere in the world right now, including Israel at this point, completely gone. What can we expect next year from the government? Or shouldn't we expect anything at all?
Would it be asking for too much to expect them to just stay out of our way? Just don't make things worse. We'll settle for that. No, the fact that everybody admits we have no government. None. There is no country that thinks they have a government. Every country knows they have a problem. Government doesn't exist anymore.
But they're still doing stuff, and the stuff that they're doing is atrocious.
Right. And they're calling it governing. It's not governing. So that too is a Mashiach-dic development. We're asking almost anybody in the world, would you welcome the advice of a truly wise person?
Yes.
Yeah, right. That's Mashiach. For the first time in history, the entire world is not only willing to follow some sensible leadership, but is desperate for it. We can't do this. We're watching ourselves destroy ourselves. Some people don't realize it, but enough people do. So we have to make sure that we are part of the solution and not part of the problem.
And how do we do this when it comes to government?
Government is simply a reflection of the people. If you're timid, undecided, and don't know right from wrong, what kind of government are you going to get? Totalitarian. We'll tell you what's right. We'll tell you what you may or may not do. We will take control of your lives because you don't know what you're doing. So if that's the nature of the people, that's going to be the nature of their government. If you know what you want, if you have values, if you have firm beliefs, what kind of government are you going to have? A government of your own choosing. So government is simply a reflection of who we are. And that's why, in some way, or to some degree, all citizens carry responsibility for what their government does or doesn't do. Because eventually, ultimately, the government only does what the people allow. So somebody came up with this brilliant idea of government by the people, for the people, of the people. It's always been that way. Government has always been by the people, of the people. When you have a dictator, it's because you allowed it. Oh, once you don't like it anymore, now you have to make a revolution. But how did it happen in the first place? Because you thought it was a great idea. You said, let's have a czar, a real leader with ultimate authority who will make our country great. 10 years later, he said, what do we do to get rid of the Tsar? But no one really can govern an entire nation by force. Against the people's wishes, can't be done. And the proof is, even when a government is well established, firmly entrenched, and they have all the power, if the people don't want it, there's going to be a revolution.
Rabbi Friedman, amazing. I mean, really, so much to look forward to in the upcoming year, and so much to be grateful for the past year with all the difficulties. Well, my open miracle is the ability to speak with you on a weekly basis, to give our community the opportunity to get this amazing wisdom that you give us every single thank God it's Tuesday, and to wish you and your family, of course, a very, very sweet year, lots of good health and good things everywhere. Thank you, Rabbi Friedman, so much, and I so look forward to a lot more wisdom from you next year.
Thank you for the blessing. We should all have a good, sweet year.
Amen.
Last year was a good year. I wouldn't call it sweet. The goodness was bittersweet.
Yeah.
But it was good. This year we need to have a goodness that is also sweet.
Amen.
Now I need to ask you a question.
Sure.
Educate me. What does Każdy wtorek mean?
Every Tuesday.
Wtorek is Tuesday?
Yes. And każdy is every.
Simple. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rabbi Friedman.
Sweet year.
Amen. Amen. Thank you.